nakshatra for some happy things. So you can say this is unhappy things. So this kind of a broad division may not be appropriate. So I would simply say that this has been chosen at some point of time and we keep carrying on this tradition. I don't think beyond that one will be able to give any rationale behind this.
Because I've heard Telugu people celebrating their Tithi. I was surprised the first time I heard it because...
That is why I said it is not something which is common. If I were to make this distinction, then that doesn't fit well with every society or every section of the society. Therefore, this division may not be appropriate, any form of explanation will not be fitting across. That is why I said I am not quite convinced in giving this kind of an explanation. It is a certain tradition which has been carried out at a given point of time and they keep following it.
I heard of 2 different calendars, right? Like
1 second, before that he has been raising.
Yeah, my question is on this, the solstice and the Uttarayana.
Yes, yes. Yeah, there is a terrible confusion and some people who consider themselves as scholars, they create more confusion. In fact, I wanted to give a talk only on this. I was so annoyed to see a person who holds a PhD in physics. That fellow is supposed to be a popularizer of science. And he wrote an article this year only, around January, February, and somebody wrote to me, so please see this article and give your views. In fact, I wrote to him saying that I am going to come and give a talk to demolish this, but then it didn't happen. So the point that he wanted to convey, I am just telling you, was that as if all these astronomers have been foolish in trying to do something. Okay, that is how the article ended with some sort of a praise here and there and then a condemnation elsewhere. It was pure misunderstanding. This phenomenon of what we call precision today, precession. Okay? See, what is happening is, suppose you consider this is the plane in which the sun moves around the earth, which is what we call as ecliptic. This is the fundamental plane. So Earth's axis is inclined to this, obviously, 23 degrees, okay, perpendicular to the ecliptic, and the Earth's axis will be inclined by 23 degrees. What is happening is, this is spinning. The Earth's axis is spinning like a spinning top. Okay, the top will be initially spinning and then it will keep rotating like this, right? So this is what is happening, the whole Earth's axis is spinning. And this precision takes roughly, that is our estimate today, close to 26,000 years. Some people say 25,400, some people say 25,700, but we don't know. Something around that time, okay? That is how it goes. Because we know that this is the rate at which it is going. But then that need not necessarily be constant, but our theory says that this is what will be the number. Now, this has to be necessarily considered by us, because that is why we have, in fact, many years. Many years means variety of years. One is sun coming back to the same star. If this precession were happening, just imagine, so this is precessing, right? The axis of the earth is moving around the perpendicular axis to the ecliptic. Consequently, if you just imagine 2 circles, okay, I can take you to this diagram. This can make you easily appreciate this, just to see this. Yeah. Now, what is happening is, so this is Earth's axis. So this point of intersection, you understand, of equator and ecliptic will keep moving. Which will move? The blue line will keep moving along the red line, because Earth's axis spins. Clear? Now, if you define your year as sun starting from S1, moving around and coming back to S1, that will be with respect to stars. Understand? This is what we call as sidereal year. Now, because of precision, this S1 will be slightly moving down, let us assume. Okay? That is what is happening. So, therefore, if you say that sun coming back to the same point of intersection, that will happen slightly before. Therefore, tropical year is slightly less than a sidereal year. Why do you call it tropical year? Because your seasons depend upon, okay, this position of vernal equinox only. Okay, so therefore 2 years are there. One is called sidereal year, other is called a tropical year. Now, if you have marked this ecliptic into 12 parts, so these 12 parts are called Mesha Rashi, Vrishabha Rashi, Mithuna Rashi and so on. How do you name those Rashis? Based on the constellation of the star, which is not changing. Is it clear? The stars' positions are fixed. Pattern is also fixed. Therefore, sun coming back to Mesha Rashi or entering into Makara, which is what you call as Makara Sankranti, that will happen only when it comes back to the same star. But this distinction of the sidereal and solar has to be considered for certain calculations, and it need not be considered for certain other calculations. So Uttarayana at one point of time was exactly when the sun was entering into Makara Rashi. Now sun entering into Makara Rashi is a slightly different period, and Uttarayana commencement is a slightly different point. Okay, so that happens much earlier, okay, over this 1500 years. So the amount by which it actually moves is roughly today 50 seconds, okay, per annum.
So the Uttarayana happens as per the
Uttarayana happens a little earlier.
earlier. So it
So in this modern calendrical system,
happens around December 21st and
yeah, something around that, correct. Yes, and it will keep moving slightly before. We have to live with this. There is no other option. Okay. So the both computations are required, and they knew this. They had no confusion about this. Okay. So they knew this phenomenon, and they only call us Makara Sankranti. But then, I mean, at some point you have been celebrating this together, and then they have been saying it, and this has to be corrected. Okay. Yes, you have some questions. Before that, you.
I was kind of making commentary on her observations, right? Like, no, there was two things, right? Sun calendar and moon calendar. So I think we follow, like, Brahmins follow moon calendar and
No.
something like that.
It will not be quite correct to say that. All Indians follow lunisolar calendar. It is both solar and lunar. So only Abrahamic religions, they choose only that. So therefore, I mean, every year moves by 11 days before for them. So even those who celebrate the beginning of the year, these Andhra people, so you would have seen that the beginning of the year can be close to April 14, or it can be close to March 22, whatever. So there is a beautiful term which they have coined as Adhika Masa. And it is not arbitrarily introduced. It is again beautifully introduced. Very nice theoretical framework is there. So all of us follow as far as the beginning of the year is concerned. So some take, okay, the Amavasya to be the beginning. Some take entering into Mesha Rashi to be the beginning. That is the only distinction. Yes.
Yes, a couple of things. So as far as I am aware, it was in the Surya Siddhanta, it is mentioned that the Uttarayana coincided with the Makara Sankranti, correct?
I wouldn't say that the Surya Siddhanta mentions. This is simply because Surya Siddhanta basically defines various things. As far as the celebrations are concerned, they don't talk about anything. They only talk about phenomenon. They talk about the procedures for determining when what happens. As far as the observations are concerned, that is a completely different domain. That comes into Dharma Shastra, that comes into various other domains. As far as the Siddhantic texts are concerned, they don't. If you today, by your current rate of motion, if you just go back, then it is something close to 300, 400 AD. Around that time, you will be able to
Coincide.
arrive at this.
Yeah. And were they aware of the precision?
Yes, that's what I said.
Okay.
This is why they talk of Ainamsha.
So because they also
They may not know the exact value, but they do.
they also talk about the pole star changing. Right?
Yes, 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 they do
So
talk.
they are aware of that.
Yeah, that is very much there. So they know this. And in fact, your Lagna computation cannot be done unless you know this Ainamsha. Every marriage has this Lagna. Yes,
My question was on Adhika Masa.
yes.
So Adhika Masa seems to be calendar correction, from layman's term. And when you compare that to Gregorian calendar, the correction, looks like that is more precise in the terms of every 4 years by 1 day versus every 2 to
No, 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 not at all. That is absolutely incorrect. So Adhika Masa is a very interesting thing that they have introduced to have a match between a lunar calendar, which is very easy for you to keep track of, and the solar year. So what happens is, suppose you take the average duration I told you is 29.54 between two Amavasyas. You multiply that by 12. Okay? So you will get only some 354